Hey Bears fans, we're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved Chicago Bears. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. That way, you'll always stay up to date with breaking news and exclusive content. The air around Chicago has been buzzing with one of those stories that nobody really expects to hear, but once it hits the ground, it spreads like wildfire and keeps fans glued to every update. Reports are circulating that Bears head coach Ben Johnson has made it clear behind closed doors, and even hinted in a few conversations with staff, that he does not want running back DeAndre Swift as part of the team moving forward. This is not the kind of whisper that vanishes after a day or two. It is the type of rumor that keeps building momentum, creating long debates on sports radio, endless arguments on social media, and passionate monologues from fans who feel divided about what Swift actually brings to the franchise. Johnson, who has a reputation for being direct and uncompromising in his vision of how football should be played, seems to have taken a stance that leaves little room for negotiation, and that in itself raises questions about locker room chemistry, player trust, and the overall direction of the Bears' offensive philosophy. Some see this as a power move from a coach determined to sculpt the team in his own image, while others see it as a dangerous gamble that could fracture both morale and performance on the field. The tension around this rumor stems from the fact that Swift was once considered a major piece in any team's offensive arsenal, someone who could provide versatility as both a runner and a receiver out of the backfield. His ability to cut through defensive lines, find space where most players would be trapped, and add a layer of unpredictability to any offensive scheme was exactly what many franchises were looking for when they considered upgrading their running game. Yet here we are, with Ben Johnson reportedly stating in private conversations that Swift does not fit his plans, that the player does not align with the identity he envisions for the Bears, and that moving forward without him is a cleaner, more sustainable path. Whether this judgment comes from concerns about consistency, durability, or even personality clashes inside the locker room, nobody can say for sure. The only thing clear right now is that the words attributed to Johnson have already begun shaping public perception, creating an atmosphere where even teammates might begin to wonder how long Swift will wear the Bears jersey. And for a city that thrives on football passion, these whispers feel like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. Fans are struggling to make sense of the possible disconnect, because while Swift has had his ups and downs, he still carries the reputation of being a player with potential to explode at any moment, someone who could make game-changing plays when given the right opportunities. What stings even more for supporters is the timing of these comments, because this is not an off-season evaluation quietly happening behind the scenes. This is the kind of rumor that leaks during critical moments of preparation, shaking confidence and creating instability just when focus should be razor-sharp. Analysts have pointed out that Johnson might be using this as a deliberate signal, a message that no one is safe if they don't align with the standards. But others argue that such public doubt about a player erodes value, making it harder for the franchise to trade or negotiate anything beneficial. The situation feels like walking on thin ice, where each step could either clarify the future or make the entire structure collapse. Swift himself has stayed silent so far, but silence in moments like this often carries weight, leaving everyone guessing about his mindset, his reaction behind closed doors, and whether he will fight to prove Johnson wrong or quietly accept that his days with the Bears are numbered. The locker room dynamic adds another layer of intrigue to this unfolding narrative, because it is not just about numbers on a stat sheet or highlight reels. It is about how players respond when they sense that one of their teammates is not wanted by the leadership. Football is a sport that thrives on unity, on trust between individuals who rely on each other to execute plays with precision and heart. And when that trust is disrupted, cracks can form in unexpected places. Sources close to the team have suggested that some players are uneasy with Johnson's stance, not necessarily because they believe Swift is untouchable, but because they fear the ripple effects of a coach openly distancing himself from someone still wearing the uniform. Every athlete understands that the NFL is a business, that rosters are fluid, and careers can change with a single decision. But there is a difference between transitions that feel strategic and those that feel personal. If the perception spreads that this is personal Johnson could face resistance that goes beyond one player, as loyalty among teammates is often forged through battles on the field rather than abstract philosophies off it. The media storm that follows such rumors only magnifies the drama, because every sports network, podcast, and online platform loves a storyline where a head coach and a star player are seemingly on opposite sides of a philosophical battle. It becomes content gold, an ongoing saga that drives engagement, ratings, and endless speculation. For the Bears, though, this is less about headlines and more about the potential distraction it causes. The narrative surrounding Johnson and Swift overshadows preparation, takes attention away from game planning, and creates a sense of instability that opponents can exploit. Meanwhile, general managers and rival franchises are surely watching closely, waiting to see if the Bears will be forced into a decision that lowers Swift's market value, giving them an opening to swoop in and benefit. It is a classic case of internal conflict spilling into the public domain, and once it does, the damage is rarely fully contained. Even if Johnson walks back his comments, even if the front office issues statements of unity, the seed of doubt has already been planted, and it will take more than press conferences to erase it from the minds of fans and players alike. As all this unfolds, one of the most fascinating aspects is how much of it may be intentional, a strategic maneuver from Johnson to set the tone for his tenure and establish absolute authority over the roster. Coaches who want to build lasting legacies often make bold decisions early, letting everyone know that the team will not be shaped by past reputations or individual accolades, but by the vision of leadership. If that is Johnson's angle, then the dismissal of Swift could be more symbolic than tactical, a declaration that nobody is untouchable and that everyone must prove their worth according to new standards. But symbolism comes at a cost. And in professional sports, that cost often involves alienating portions of the fan base, risking fractured locker room dynamics, and creating narratives that linger long after the initial controversy fades. Whether Johnson has calculated this risk or underestimated the blowback, only time will reveal. For now, the chatter continues. The city watches with intensity, and Swift remains at the center of a swirling conversation that refuses to die down. The second wave of discussion around this saga has shifted into a deeper layer of analysis, where insiders and observers are not just debating the merit of Swift as a player, but also what this says about Johnson as a coach and leader. Every move a head coach makes is scrutinized, dissected, and reinterpreted to fit into the broader storyline of his leadership style. And in this case, Johnson is beginning to be framed as someone who either has a ruthless clarity about what he wants or a potentially reckless disregard for talent that doesn't conform perfectly to his system. It is the kind of fork in the road moment where reputations are made, and if the Bears succeed under Johnson's blueprint, this decision will be remembered as a turning point, a moment when he proved he was unafraid to cut ties with players who didn't fit. But if the Bears stumble, if the offense struggles to find rhythm without the depth that Swift provides, then these comments will be replayed again and again as a glaring example of leadership gone astray, the kind of soundbite that haunts press conferences and shadows careers for years. From a purely tactical standpoint, Johnson's decision raises questions that are difficult to answer. Swift, despite criticisms of inconsistency, offers versatility in offensive schemes that few players can replicate. His ability to line up as both a running back and a pass-catching threat forces defenses to adjust, creating mismatches that open opportunities for other players. Removing someone with that skill set is not as simple as plugging another name into the lineup, because chemistry, timing, and unpredictability are not easily replaced. Coaches often emphasize fit within their schemes, and it appears Johnson believes Swift does not fit. But the challenge is whether the alternatives truly provide more. If this becomes a gamble where Johnson bets against a proven playmaker in hopes of molding a system that works without him, the stakes rise dramatically. In the NFL, where margins between victory and defeat are razor thin, one miscalculation can derail an entire season, and fans know it. That is why the reaction has been so fierce, because this feels less like a minor adjustment and more like a foundational shift in how the Bears intend to operate. The human side of this story, however, cannot be overlooked. For Swift, this situation is not just about stats or playing time. It is about professional respect, about the sense of being valued by the organization that employs him. When a coach signals that he doesn't want you around, even if no official statement has been made, the message reverberates in ways that cut deeper than strategy. Athletes thrive on confidence, on trust from leadership, and when that trust evaporates, performance can suffer. Swift could respond in one of two ways. He could channel the doubt into fuel, delivering performances that make Johnson's stance look misguided, or he could find himself mentally checked out, distracted by the uncertainty of his future. Either path carries implications not just for Swift himself, but for the team as a whole, because teammates observe and absorb the energy around them. A locker room thrives on shared battles and collective purpose. But when players feel one of their own has been discarded prematurely, it can fracture unity in ways that no playbook can fix. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. On the flip side, there are those who argue that Johnson's hardline approach may be exactly what the Bears need. A no-nonsense philosophy that forces players to either rise to the challenge or step aside. Teams that win championships often have leaders who make unpopular decisions in pursuit of a larger vision, and history tends to celebrate those decisions only in hindsight. Perhaps Johnson sees something in Swift's style, preparation, or mindset that convinces him the long-term success of the team depends on cutting ties now, rather than dragging the issue out. If that is the case, then the turbulence we are witnessing may be a necessary step toward building a disciplined, focused culture where only the most committed thrive. Fans who believe in Johnson's vision will see this as courage, a willingness to endure backlash in order to lay the foundation for sustained success. Critics, however, will continue to frame it as unnecessary drama, a distraction that undermines momentum before it can even build. The truth, as always, will reveal itself on the field when results begin to stack up one way or another. For now, the rumor continues to hover over Chicago like an unwelcome cloud, refusing to dissipate no matter how much the organization tries to redirect attention. Every practice, every press conference, every minor detail is being interpreted through the lens of this controversy. Did Swift get enough reps in training? Did Johnson avoid mentioning his name in post-practice comments? Did teammates seem to rally around him or avoid eye contact? These small observations become amplified, fueling further speculation and keeping the narrative alive. In the world of professional sports, perception often carries as much weight as reality. And right now the perception is that Johnson does not want Swift in his plans. Until an official move is made, whether through a trade, release, or a surprising reconciliation, this perception will dominate discussions. Fans are left in limbo, uncertain whether to brace for a departure or hold on a hope that somehow Swift and Johnson can coexist long enough to turn the noise into forgotten background chatter. Ultimately, the story of Ben Johnson and DeAndre Swift is more than just a headline about a coach and a player. It is a microcosm of the constant push and pull that defines professional football. It is about vision clashing with talent, authority testing loyalty, and a fragile balance that holds teams together in the face of adversity. Swift remains a symbol of potential unfulfilled, while Johnson emerges as a figure determined to shape his team with or without public approval. For fans, this saga serves as a reminder of why they are drawn to the sport in the first place. Not just for touchdowns and tackles, but for the human drama that unfolds behind the scenes, where decisions carry weight far beyond the scoreboard. Whether this chapter ends with Swift leaving town, Johnson doubling down on his philosophy, or an unlikely reconciliation that shocks everyone, it will remain etched in memory as one of those defining moments when the Bears were not just fighting opponents on the field, but wrestling with their own identity. And in Chicago, where football is more than just a game, that identity matters more than anything else. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.